Okay, so welcome to today's lesson. Okay, so in today's lesson, we'll focus on naming binary covariant compounds. Okay, so we're going to say naming binary, which means that compound will have two elements. Okay, naming binary covalent compounds. Okay, so this is our aim for today. So as usual, if I explain anything and you do not understand it, please feel free to ask your question. Okay, so by the term binary here, we mean this compound contains two elements. Okay, and then by covalent, what do we mean? We mean it's a compound that is made up of two nonmetals. Okay, so we have two nonmetals combining to form a compound. Okay, so I have a nonmetal here plus another nonmetal. Okay, so whatever they form, these two nonmetals, okay, is what we are calling as a covalent compound. Okay, so how can we name a covalent compound? Okay, so the naming is a bit similar to what we learned when we are naming ionic compounds. Okay, so remember when we were naming those ionic compounds, we said we always have a metal, okay, and then there we have a non-metal, or sometimes there you can have a radical, right? Okay, so we said, how were we naming these ionic compounds? Okay, we were first getting the name of the first element that we can see. So we can see sodium there, okay, sodium. And then this non-metal here, okay, we are making its name to end with what? IDE, okay, IDE. So this is chlorine here, okay, but we're naming it, since it's at the end in this compound, we are saying sodium, and then this chlorine here will end with IDE. So it becomes chloride like this. Okay, so from the chlorine, it becomes a chloride like that. Okay, so now this was the technique that we were using when we are naming those ionic compounds. Okay, so even when we are naming these binary covalent compounds, okay, we are going to apply a similar technique. Okay, we're first going to write the first name of this non-metal, and then plus, okay, the other non-metal, and then that non-metal should end again with what? IDE. So it's like the same, okay? The only difference now, okay, take note, the only difference is that when you are naming these covalent compounds, okay, you consider what we call as the prefixes, okay? So the prefixes is just a number that will show you exactly how many elements of a certain type you have in a compound, okay? So for example, let me write a covalent compound here, okay? So if I write carbon dioxide, okay, so carbon dioxide, we know that it's written in this form, right? Okay, so this K2 that is down here is what we are calling as a prefix. Okay, so this is what we're calling a prefix. So when we are naming these covalent compounds, okay, it's very important, okay, to take note of the prefix that you are using, and then we are going to use that prefix in the name of that compound, okay, in the name of that compound. So let's talk about the prefixes that you can use. Okay, so the prefixes, we have one, okay, which is known as mono. So if I have one element of a certain type, I'm going to say that it's mono. Okay, and then if I have two, I'm going to say it's di. So di means two. And then tri means three. If I have tri, it means it is three. Okay, and then four is given by tetra. Okay, tetra will mean that I have four of those elements. Okay, and then five, it's called penta. Okay, so the five, we call it penta, and then the six, we say hexa. Okay, so the hexa will mean six, and then the seven, we say hepta to mean seven. Okay, and then when we have eight, it will be octa. Okay, so this would mean 8. And then 9, it will be nona. Okay, and then 10, it will be deca. Okay, so these are the prefixes that we are going to be using in naming what? These compounds. So you have to know them, that if there's one of such an element, okay, and we are required to use a prefix, you just say mono. Okay, if it's 2, you say di. If it's 3, you say tri, and etc. using what I've written here on this board. Okay, so earlier I gave an example of this carbon dioxide. Okay, so how does the name carbon dioxide come about? Okay, so carbon dioxide is a covalent bond. Okay, because it's made up of what? 2 nonmetals. So if I write like this, we know that this is carbon dioxide. Why? Okay, so first of all, you have to identify that this carbon is a nonmetal. Okay, this is a nonmetal. Even this oxygen here is also a nonmetal. Okay, so it means this is a covalent binary compound, right? Okay, or a binary covalent compound. So how do you name it? We said you get the first name of the first nonmetal that you have in that compound. Okay, so this one here, we're going to say it's carbon. Okay, and then I'll write a dash here. Okay, so you write the first name here, and then we said the last nonmetal here should end in what? IDE. Remember, I said IDE, right? Okay, so this is oxygen. And then when we want to make oxygen end in IDE, it becomes what? Oxide. So I'm going to write oxide here. Okay, for the oxygen that is there. But now notice that we have 2 of the oxygens. Okay, so what is the prefix for the 2? Here, what I showed you, okay, you have di here. No wonder here in front of this oxide, you are going to say dioxide, meaning you have 2 of the what? Oxygen. So that's how this name carbon dioxide comes about, okay? So we are going to be using this technique here that I've shown to name whatever elements I'm going to show here, okay? So you get the name of the first element, and then the second element should end in IDE, okay? But make sure that in your formula, you consider the prefixes, okay? Consider the prefixes. So what if I want to name this compound here? Okay, so this compound here, this is carbon, and this is oxygen, right? So I'm going to say carbon, since it's the first element, okay? Then I'll write dash, okay? And then this oxygen, it's at the end, okay? So it has to end with IDE, okay? So when oxygen ends with IDE, it becomes oxide, okay? Now look at this. How many of the oxygens do we have? We only have 1, okay? There's only 1 here. And we said 1 goes with what? Mono. So no wonder this here is known as carbon monoxide, okay? Because there's 1 oxygen here, okay? So now notice that we don't put mono in front of the first element here. Even if it's 1, we never put mono there. But if you have 2 of them, 3 of them, you have to indicate, okay? So now let me give you an example where the first element it also has a prefix, okay? So let's say we want to name this compound. Okay, so we have N2, and then we have O3. Okay, so we first have to identify, is this a metal or is it a non-metal? We see that this is a non-metal because we have nitrogen and oxygen that are bonding. Okay, so how are we going to name it? You first write the name of the first element, okay? But notice that this first element now has a 2 there as a prefix. Okay, so I'm going to write dash. What is the name of this element? I'm going to write nitrogen. Okay, and then I'm going to say dash. This is oxygen, so when it ends with IDE, it's going to become what? Oxide. Okay, and then now you consider these prefixes that you've been given here. Okay, so the prefix for this nitrogen is 2. So 2 we said is what? Di. Okay, and then this one is 3. 3 we said is what? Tri. So the full name of this compound here will be dinitrogen trioxide. Okay, dinitrogen trioxide. Okay. Right, maybe someone didn't get it. Let's do another example. Let's do another example. Maybe I have N2, okay, and then I have O5. Okay, so this is a non-metal, this is a non-metal, so this is a covalent compound, right? Okay, so how are we going to name it? We're going to say dash. The first name there, just write nitrogen. Okay, then I'm going to say dash. This is oxygen, but it's at the end. So it's going to end with IDE. So it becomes what? Oxide. Okay, and then we ask ourselves now. So for the nitrogen, we have two of them. So two means di. Okay, so we are going to put dinitrogen here. And then this is 5. What did we say 5 is? We said 5 is just penta. Okay, so this was going to be penta oxide. Okay, so now notice that if you have a 5 there, okay, and then this name here ends with oxide, okay, so this penta ends with what we call as a vowel. Okay, so this vowel here, when you go back to your RA, this A is a vowel, right? Okay, so if the prefix that you have ends with a vowel, okay, meaning it can end with A or it can end with O, okay? So if it ends with a vowel, you ignore that vowel when you are putting it into this name, okay? So you're not going to write pentaoxide, okay? No, you're not going to write pentaoxide, okay? You are going to ignore this A here and then just write pentoxide, okay? So this would be the nitrogen pentoxide. Okay, I hope you've gotten that, guys. Okay, so if the prefix that you have ends with a vowel, okay, and then there you also have something that starts with a vowel like this O here. Okay, we have to ignore the last letter in the what? In the prefix. So in this penta, we just ignore this A. It will just be dinitrogen pentoxide. We don't say pentaoxide. No. Okay, so take note of that. So that's how we are going to be naming this. Okay, so I'm going to write some formulas on this board. Okay, and then I'll be asking you guys to name them. Okay, then I'll be writing them after we name them. So we are going to do this together. Okay, I want you to name. So let's name these compounds here. So the first one I'm going to put NO2. Okay, so we should write the name of this guy. And then the second one, I'll put PCl5. And then the third one, we can name SO2. Okay, so anyone who can give us the name of the first element there. What's the name of this guy here?
Nitrogen dioxide.
Okay, say nitrogen dioxide. That's correct. Okay, because we have one nitrogen here, we don't say mononitrogen. No. Okay, you only put a prefix to the first element here if that prefix is 2 or above. But if it's 1 like this, you ignore it. So we are going to say this is nitrogen. Okay, this is nitrogen. And then for this oxygen, we have 2 of them. So we are going to write di. And this oxygen is at the end. So it will be oxide. Okay, so this is nitrogen dioxide. Okay, and then this one here, what's the name? Anyone who can name this one? Hello?
I think it's phosphorus chloride dichloride. It's 5. Phosphorus pentoxide. Something like that.
Okay.
It's phosphorus.
Uh-huh.
Phosphorus pentachloride.
Yes. Okay. That's the correct name. Okay, so this is phosphorus. So we're just going to write the full name. Okay, since it's the first element there. This will be phosphorus. And then this one here is chlorine. but it's at the end, so it's going to end in IDE. So it's going to become chloride. Okay, but we see that we have 5 of this what? Chloride. So we are going to say, okay, that is phosphorus pentachloride. Okay, penta and then chloride. So notice that here we've not dropped this A here. Okay, why have we not dropped this A? Because this next name here does not start with a vowel here. Okay, if there was a vowel here, we would have dropped this guy here. Okay, so that's phosphorus pentachloride. And then this one here, what's the name? This should be easy.
Sulfur.
Sulfur
so
dioxide.
This is sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide. Okay, Makashukira, let me give you something that is a bit. Okay, so now let's name this one. So I have P4, okay, and then I have O10. So what is the name of this guy here?
Tetraphosphorus decoxide.
Yeah,
Okay,
decoxide.
so the name there will be, okay, this is 4, so we're going to say tetra. Okay, this will be tetra. And then the name of this guy here is phosphorus. So you write the phosphorus there. Okay, phosphorus. And then here we have the oxygen, and we have 10 of them. So it will be deca. Okay, so tetraphosphorus deca. Okay, so there would be, this will be the name of this guy.
I have a question.
Yes.
I also have a question.
You said that I don't know if if it only works for that one the one for, is it for 5?
The vowels, the vowel. Now here we have included it since the next one is the an A O. and O.
Yes, the A and O. So how come we haven't ignored the A?
Because we're supposed to omit the A.
Hello?
Okay, yeah. So you can drop this one here. So it's correct if you drop it. Okay, so you can also write this as tetraphosphorus, just like I explained earlier. So it will be deco, I mean, decoxide like this. Okay, so both this one and this one, they are accepted.
All right.
Yes. Okay. All right. So let me. Okay. So this was the first part. So you are given a formula, and then you are asked to name it, right? Okay. So sometimes you'll be given a name, and then you are asked to write the formula. Okay. So you are given a name, and then you are asked to write the formula. So let's write the formula for the following names. Okay. So the first one, I'll say sulfur. Okay, sulfur. Let me say hexa. So this is hexafluoride. Okay, so what will be the formula for this guy here? Sulfur hexafluoride. What will be the formula?
SF6.
SFL6.
Someone is saying L. Did you say L? Okay, so the symbol for fluoride, there's no L. So it's just a capital letter F. So you're going to say S for sulfur, okay, and then F, okay, and then take note that we have 6 of them, so we are going to put a 6 here, okay. So this is sulfur hexafluoride, okay. So it's very simple to name the convalent ones. Okay, those ionic ones are a bit difficult because you have to memorize some of the radicals and the like, the valencies. Okay, but these ones here is very simple. So let's look at the next one. So the next one is sulfur. Sulfur, let me say trioxide. Okay,
Yes,
so what is the formula for this guy? S what?
SO3.
SO3.
Okay, so this would be SO3. Okay, that is correct. That is correct. Okay, and then let's try this one here. Let me say, okay, dihydrogen. Hydro. Okay, this is not the correct spelling. Let me write the correct spelling. Dihydrogen oxide. Okay, so what would be
H2O.
the formula for this guy here?
It's
H2O.
Exactly. Okay, so that's the other name. Okay, that's the other name for water. So this is just water. Okay, but in chemistry they don't usually use this name. Okay, they use the common name, which is water. Okay, but its name systematically is what? Dihydrogen oxide. So you're going to write H. Since there's di here, you're going to put 2 and then 1 oxygen. Okay, so this is dihydrogen oxide. Okay, so the common name it is water. Okay, and then we also have this one here. Let me write dihydrogen. Dihydrogen dioxide. So what is the chemical formula for this one here?
H2, H2O2.
Okay, so it will be H2O2. Okay, so what is the common name of this guy here?
Water vapor.
No. Water vapor. No, it's not water vapor.
Hydrogen peroxide.
Yes. Okay, so that's hydrogen peroxide. Even this one here, it's very rare for it to be called dihydrogen dioxide. Okay, so you find in the chemistry book, it's mostly referred to as hydrogen peroxide. Okay, so in hydrogen peroxide it's one of when you start looking at the oxidation states, it's one of the elements where you have oxygen having an oxidation state of -1. Okay, so it's an important compound in chemistry. And then another one, which is common, is this one. Let me write it here. Okay, nitrogen tri, this is tri, okay, nitrogen trihydroxide. Okay, so what is the chemical formula for this?
NH3.
N open bracket H or close bracket 3.
Come again.
N open bracket H
Mhm.
or close bracket 3 outside.
Okay, so you're saying N and then open and then OH and then 3. Anyone who
Yes.
has a different answer?
I think he's correct.
Okay, anyone who has a different answer?
NH3.
Huh?
NH3.
Okay, someone is saying NH3. Okay. Hydroxide. Okay, so we have two answers there. We have that one, and then we have this one. Okay, so what is the difference between these two elements?
The one with
one
the
has got two elements, then the other one down there. Oh, the one on top is nitrogen and hydroxide. Then the one down there, that's ammonia.
yes.
Yeah. So this one here is
ammonia.
ammonia. Okay, and then this one here is not ammonia.
It's
Not ammonia. So I've seen some students get confused, okay, when you give them this name here, the one that I gave there, okay? So they nitrogen trihydroxide, okay? Some people write this formula here, okay? But this one here simply means because this hydroxide, okay, it's just the OH like that. So the correct formula here is this and not that one there, okay? But now, if they ask you to name this, what would you say?
That's nitrogen trihydride.
Come again?
Nitrogen trihydride.
Okay, yeah. So this is nitrogen trihydride. Okay, nitrogen. Then you have your tri there, and then you say hydride. Okay.
What if
so
you
this
say
is the name
ammonia?
here. If you say what?
Ammonia.
It depends with the question. So if they tell you to name this compound here using the systematic method, the name that you should give is this nitrogen trihydride. Okay, never say ammonia, because ammonia is just a common name that we got used to, same as this H2O. Okay, I've seen people fail to name this compound, so they bring this same compound here, and then they ask you what is the systematic name. Okay, the systematic name, never say water. Okay, never say water, because that one there is not water, but it's the nitrogen oxide. Okay? You're following the system. Okay, so guys, any question there? Any questions that you have on naming this covalent compound? Any question there before I give you my question?
Sir, so the one on top there, is it just called is it also called nitrogen trihydride, or there's also a specific name for it?
This one here?
Yes, that one on top.
Oh, no. I don't know any common name for this compound. Okay, so they usually refer it to as nitrogen trihydroxide. I don't think there's a common name. You should research. Maybe it's there. Maybe it's there. Right, so I'll give you some tasks. Who is writing on my board here? Okay, let me just erase this. Okay, and then cancel annotations for others. All right, so now let me give you a task, guys. You should name these the following compounds. Then you share the answers in the group. Okay, so they are very easy. So the first one is I, F, and then 7. Okay, so you give the name of this compound. Okay, and then another one. Let me see. Okay, another one you should name N2, S3. Okay, then let me look for a third one. Okay, the third one, you can name this one. There we have N, and then F, and then 3. Okay, so you can screenshot this, and then you provide the names in the group. Okay, so you solve these 3. You try to name them. Yeah, and then you send the names. Okay, so
Guys, one at a time. Let it be done.
Okay, guys.
Submitting.
I hope you saw the assignment. I hope you saw the assignment. I think my network was misbehaving.
No, please.
Let me mute some people. Yeah, so I was saying, I hope you've seen the assignment there. So try to answer the questions and then you can send your solutions in the group. Otherwise, I will end here. My network was behaving. So for those who are not here, I'll share the video when Okay, someone has already sent me the answers here.
Okay, Mr. Hello, sir.
Yes.
I wanted to